Yeah, welcome to Coffee and Cannabis. I'm your host, Alyza, and this is...
Corey, what up?
So today we have New Jersey's finest. I mean...
The most connected.
Yes, I can't
Put
say...
some respect on his name.
I cannot say more incredible things about this gentleman. He is intelligent, he is a leader, and he has been at the forefront of cannabis from an educational perspective and a media perspective in New Jersey. Please give it up for Brendon Robinson.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
He brought gifts.
Yeah. You see the gifts, all right? The trend is here.
Straight up.
So listen, you know how we started off. We have Brendon here. He is a part of MCA and 420NJEvents. Today for our coffee, we are drinking Project Sunrise, and I actually found this coffee at First Watch. It's a great breakfast place that I like to stop by, but I always read the message behind these coffees, and for this one, it's female Latina growers in Colombia, Mujeres en Café. So, I just wanted to support that, and then, we got MCA, Minority Cannabis Academy, and smoking. Corey? What do I got? I know I'm smoking a pre-roll. Okay. First off, let me tell you, I'm not a pre-roll fan. However, I also am not a fan of wasting weed. So that's what is it?
That cookies one.
Doggy bag?
Doggy bag.
Doggy bag.
Doggy
Cookies,
bag.
doggy bag, yeah.
Okay. And what y'all got?
I got some watermelon gelato and some Temptation from Air Wellness.
Yes, watermelon
I got,
gelato is fire.
I got a watermelon gelato as well. Then I'm doing GG4 GAC hybrid combo.
Okay.
As well. So
all right. So we got that paired with, of course, like I said, the Project Sunrise. So let's get into it. Thank you again for coming.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate y'all, for real.
You want to just give a little bit of an introduction of yourself?
Yeah. I mean, like, how deep should I go in this intro?
Well, this is all right. This is how I want to start. First off, I feel like a lot of people know you for MCA, and then people also know you for your media company, but people don't really know you.
Okay.
Like you, the individual, what your actual goals are, how you got here. So I just want you to tell, because we always see, like, people see Corey and I together, like you with Stan, you guys are, but it's, you got the Mud Brothers, but there's you as an individual. Can you tell us just a little bit about your journey pre-cannabis?
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm born and raised in New Jersey, from a small town called Chislehurst, New Jersey. Both me and my partner, my co-founder, brother Stan Okoro. But born and raised. Actually before cannabis, I was doing banking my entire adult career. Okay. So I got started in banking when I was like 21, 22 years old. At first, I'm gonna be real with y'all, it was just dope to be able to do something where I got to wear a shirt and tie every day, made some decent money, get to feel like a boss, all that kind of shit. And it changed for me when I was working at Commerce Bank. This is before TD Bank took over. And these two black gentlemen came in. They were suited and booted. I was like, man, what do they do? And I found out they were business bankers. At that time, I thought the manager of the bank was the biggest thing.
That's the dude, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was the biggest thing out there. But I found out there was business bankers and all kind of other layers to that corporate realm. So I went after it, and I ended up, being a branch manager for a company called Santander Bank, formerly Sovereign Bank. And, once I got a taste of that, I got a taste of that money, those bonuses.
You was deep in this shit, huh?
Yeah.
He named a lot of banks right now.
He's like award-winning banker and shit.
Yeah. No, so, on some real shit. So, I was #1 branch manager for Santander in the whole country.
Wow.
I went on trips to Aruba, Dominican Republic, Mexico 2-3 times. I was the top guy. So, I got promoted to become what you call a small business market director. So I ran all their small business, anything under $5 million, in New Jersey and parts of New York. And yeah, I killed it. I was #1 in the company in that as well. And what made that so compelling was that you got to understand, like, my colleagues went to Yale. My colleagues went to Stanford. I'm a college dropout. You know what I'm saying? They just got, So let me rewind for a second. So my upbringing is important in terms of what I did as a banker. So, I grew up, my mom and dad was there first, 13 years of my life. Pretty, low class, low middle class. We were poor, but didn't know we were poor, situation. My dad got arrested when I was 13 years old for selling cannabis. Went away for 10 years. You gotta remember what those marijuana laws were back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my dad goes away. We instantly are on welfare, government assistance.
Everything changed immediately.
That fast.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Overnight. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm 13 years old, about to be 14 years old, trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with my mom, how I'm gonna help my mom. So I played ball. So when I was 14, I got a full ride scholarship to go to a all-white Catholic high school. Mind you, I grew up around nothing but, you know, my people. That's all I know. I'm now taking a 45-minute bus ride as a 14-year-old to go to a high school. I play ball. So why I tell that part of the story is because when I went to that high school, I was one of 3 black people in that entire high school.
Wow.
But the shit I learned in those 4 years, being around that money, that way of thinking, that privilege, it taught me everything I needed to know once I got out of it. Because again, my dad went to prison for selling cannabis. My brother went to prison for selling cannabis. My uncles went to prison for selling cannabis. I'm the only male in my family that did not go to prison for selling cannabis. So I was around nothing but trap shit my whole life. That's all I knew. So once I saw that corporate side of it, then I get into banking. I'm like, yo, you know. And it's crazy because it really changed for me on the banking side one day when I was having a conversation with Stan. And he was like, you know, I was stressed out over just running this big-ass market in New Jersey. And he's like, bro, run that shit like a trap. And it hit me like, the essence of running the trap, you know what I mean? You treat your customers right. You give hospitality. You put out a good product. You follow up. Like, I'm like, all right, yeah, I can do this. All right, I can do this. And I took off, guys. I was number one. Like, I was killing it. Everything was going great. I was number one like 4 or 5 years in a row. And then 2020 comes, COVID happens.
Yeah.
They come to us and they go, hey, businesses are shutting down. PPP loans are going out. I put out hundreds of millions of dollars in PPP loans before I checked out of banking. So that's, you know, recorded. Anyway, I was heartbroken. I was killing. I was in my prime. I was number one. I was doing things that had never been done before. I was on path to climb the corporate ladder. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, God works in mysterious ways. But everything happens
Sent that blessing.
You know what I'm saying? Everything happens for a reason. Because I would have never quit. I would have never quit because I was doing so well.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But, you know, I ended up getting laid off because they shut down our division. So I didn't want to go work in retail. So I get shut down. Stan comes to me. He's like, yo, bro, let's go take this weed thing serious. And he's like, put that energy you put into this shit, into this shit. You know what I'm saying? And we went full tilt.
So it was Stan who drove it from the beginning. It said
he saw something different.
Let me be very clear, and I want to say this on camera. Like, there is no 420NJEvents, there is no MCA without Stan wanting to do it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see it. I said, yo, we can go get a retail shop. I know how to run a business. You know what I'm saying? Let's get this money. And my bro was like, yo, we can go help people and make money and find lanes while helping people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? So I'm like, I'll tell you what, let's do it. And then once the retail joint opens up, we'll go ahead and, you know, do our thing there. But when we got into social equity and we saw what it really was, the things they were trying to, you got to remember what it was when we entered, not what it is today. I'm not saying it's great today either, but understand what it was 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
It was leftovers.
yeah.
It was the picnic tables in the back.
It was wherever the MSOs had a gap.
Oh, we got some extra money in the X fund. Yeah, give them that. Like, that's what it was.
Yeah.
We showed up and said, nah, this is luxury. This is Apple. This is Google. This is, and why not? You know what I'm saying? And it was a shell shock. So, like, it's not just, so I say that because we ended up never going the retail route because we were just like, we got to stay here.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people doing social equity with our backgrounds, with our skill sets, with the timing.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, and it's so much just miseducation. So that's kind of how I got from banking into cannabis, ended up doing what we're doing, obviously with 420NJEvents, MCA, we'll get into that. But that's my pre-cannabis life, is just, you know, working my ass off. And now being in cannabis, working my ass off. You know?
And just with that, because you kind of spoke to that, and explaining who you were to our producer, Jalen, because me and you go back, but I was like, he's the most connected person in cannabis in New Jersey. He's like, what? I was like, there's not a single phase of cannabis in New Jersey that you can talk about, or company, whether MSO or not, that Brendon don't have some connection with, done business with, done a sponsorship with. You know, shit, that even came up like when we were going for our municipality approval, and we heard like 2 or 3 companies, you know, would-be dispensaries talking about like, oh, you know, what are you going to do to the community? Oh, we're pairing up with MCA. And I'm like, I called you on the drive
this
home.
guy's everywhere.
I called Brendon though, but I was like, yo,
Like,
I heard,
you got all these deals out here.
But I told him, I was like, yo, I heard this person, and he was like, hold up, I don't know one of them. And I was like, well, they owe you a bag, bro, because they damn sure used your name. And, you know,
But that shows how valid it is in these streets that
sure.
they could go to a board and use your name to convince the city that they should get a license.
and it has stain.
It has stain.
For sure.
Because we also had it in our shit too. However,
We up there looking at these people like, listen, y'all don't really know him. I know him.
yes, you know what I'm saying? Like there's different kind of conversations that we have. You know what I'm saying? We're the mission is, but you know, there's a lot of different lanes to get to where we need to go. So
Yeah, I mean, it's funny too. Like even talking about the banking piece. Like when I was in banking, I created something called the Black Employee Network alongside 3 of my colleagues. We founded it, and we really just took the Black employees and built out different programs to help them with building their careers, doing different things with education, financial literacy, things of that nature. And you guys mentioned the partnerships. Like I brought that same thing to cannabis. You know what I'm trying to say? Because once I came into it, again, I was a little hesitant at first. Stan was more gung ho, but once I got in it, me and bro really started talking about it.
Yeah.
And we realized quickly, like this social equity thing, you could fight the man, quote unquote, or you could work with the people that want to do it.
right.
And I think we're the biggest
And charge them.
And charge them. And, and again, it should cost because you're getting a service. And
Yep.
even more so than charging them, you want to find people that really want to do the work.
Yeah.
Right.
Like we pride ourselves on results. We pride ourselves on doing what we say. We pride ourselves on doing good business, which is why we have so many partners. Which is why people use our name who don't even know us, right? Because it's like at some point you got to come to the table and talk to us, and we deliver every single time, right?
Shit, you did an expungement clinic this morning.
With
MSO.
that was more of just a pop out, but shout out to Air and Blaze Responsibly, but like we're always in the mix, right?
Yeah.
And we do so many different things. Like with 420NJEvents, we have expungement clinics, we have the medical marijuana sign-up event. We gave 100 free medical marijuana cards out.
Yeah.
Free. And not only do we pay for the doctors, we pay for the state fee as well.
Oh wow.
So people may say social equity, they might use it as a buzzword, but like that's social equity. These are giving people free medical marijuana cards. We come back and do a career workshop. We give out 25 free Google Chromebooks. Folks who don't have laptops, can't apply for jobs, can't do such and such, can't do research. Here you go. And when we do that, that costs money.
Yes.
Like
I'm so tired of that word being loosely thrown around like that. Social equity.
Yeah.
There's no data behind it. There's no evidence behind it.
And more than social equity, I call it corporate social responsibility.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
That's
Talked
it.
about this two episodes ago.
CSR. Yep.
If you're making $500, $600, $700, $800 million in a year,
Yep.
what is your corporate social responsibility to the men and women that built this industry, went to jail for it, families been ruined over it? Which, like, that's all I'm saying.
Yep.
We're in a country where you spend $50 billion on the war on drugs every year. Every year. What are we going to spend on social equity?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't claim to know.
Well, isn't that the crazy part? It's a country that spend $50 billion a year on a war on drugs, and I can sit here and do this shit on camera and not be scared, right?
Straight up.
My clothes gonna smell like it later,
Yep.
da, 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 and obviously I make my salary off of it too.
Right.
So it's like, how idiosyncratic is that? Like, how nuts is that?
Bro, it's sad, man. Like, you think about it. There's been women right now sitting in prison on 23-hour lockdown.
For something that we doing on camera.
Because I keep saying it. We say the war on drugs. We say social equity. Understand what that means. Go back to 2001. If you got caught with an ounce of weed, 1 ounce of weed,
Right.
it was a minimum of 3 years in prison.
Yeah.
I don't leave the house without an ounce of weed these days. And you telling me
It's crazy. And some people,
that's the war on drugs.
and
You know
people
what I'm
are
saying?
still locked up though. That's the worst part about
hold on.
it.
Furthermore, you get caught with, I think it was like 10 pounds. That's what, 10 years in prison?
Yeah, it was some crazy
A
number.
minimum. Like you're going to jail for 10 years. So the guys who sold weed, because you had 10 pounds if you were selling weed more than like.
Yep.
The guys that sold weed, they went to jail for 10 years for selling. So my point is, I'm not blaming the MSO, the people that work there today.
Yeah.
But if you're here making the kind of money you're making, how are you not contributing
Give it up.
to those folks? Like,
back.
it's just that simple.
Yep.
It's just that simple.
Listen, your passion is obviously cannabis and education. We know that, right? But what else drives you to build this infrastructure that you're building? Like, what else makes you want to basically build something that's going to hopefully garner you tremendous wealth one day? What else is driving you for that?
It's legacy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it in terms of, the cannabis term of legacy, right? Like, we're getting this opportunity one time.
Last name type shit. Legacy.
Like whether people see it right now, because education isn't the sexiest thing. We don't get the type of support that
it's the most important, though.
It is the most important, but we don't get the support
You're right.
that other realms get. But it's legacy because I know 5, 10, 15 years from now, we're going to all realize that whether you wanted to be an entrepreneur, whether you wanted to work in the industry, whether you wanted to start a boutique, whether you wanted to do anything that had cannabis related to it, it doesn't start without the education around the plant.
Facts.
It doesn't start without the education around the business, around the process. So I know what we're doing is crucial, not only today, but for the legacy of this industry. Like, I mean this respectfully. Take 420NJEvents and Minority Cannabis Academy out of New Jersey for the last 3 years.
Yes.
What social equity in terms of holding the MSOs accountable and showing you the data and real-time stats and real-time visuals of it happening?
Well, see, that's the other thing is, like, now you have the states, and Jersey announced theirs as well, but I know New York has too, with the state-run school programs, but
grants.
also like the state-run funding, like they're building these funds to help stuff up.
Right.
It's like, how do they know who's supposed to get what if they're not working with y'all? And half of the model is based on y'all, but it's a little bit of all of that.
And it's bullshit. That's not enough money.
That's a disappointing point, Corey, because of the fact that we built this before these different I don't know what you want to call municipality regimes, if you will, were put in place. And we did it because we knew it was coming.
Yep.
And we
ahead of the curve.
You know what I'm saying? We could have easily came out with a virtual program and did A, B, and C, D. But it's like we wanted to do something hands-on because our people need hands-on.
Yeah.
I see it. We're in class with them. We're talking to them. That hands-on experience, being able to touch the teacher, talk to the teacher, ask questions, see examples, so
tour a facility.
And then when they get a job, it's not foreign to them.
Yeah.
I'm not walking in going, oh my God, what is this Leaf Logics? Oh, I did this in class.
Right.
Oh, I gotta deal with a clone today. I did this in class.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I did it well. I was tested on it. I went through case studies. I did homework.
Yo, that MCA course load is real. Like you walk out there like big time, like every facet of the business. They be having the mock grow set up and the mock POS system, and like y'all legit.
Listen, shout out to our instructors, man. Anson McManus, Alan A.O., Francis.
What up, Alan?
Yes, Alan.
Like straight up, man. Like they do a wonderful job of not only instructing the students, but meeting them where they at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it works out. But go back to your point. We don't get upset about it at this point, man, because we know we don't have time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have time to worry about who's supporting and who's not supporting.
Yeah.
What's happening is happening right now, and we need to educate these folks.
Whether you like it or not.
Whether you like it or not, right?
Well, to me, and honestly, you're probably one of the best shining examples of this. We see people always ask, so, how I get in the cannabis industry, and my first question is always like, well, what do you already do? Mm-hmm. And they're like, then they'll, I want to be a cultivator, or I want to be this, or I want to do that. And it's like, you can do what you do in the business without having to go to the state and get a license, right? And I think you're one of the best examples I've seen in the state of someone indirectly in the market, wholeheartedly in the market, got more staying in the market than most people that think they do, but indirectly. There's no you didn't have to get no license. You're free to do whatever you want and not have to worry about that.
Ancillary business.
And I think that's a big deal that I think a lot of young black and brown folks, and when I say young, 21, 20 to 25, don't get. It's like, yo, fam, if you can buy a white van and put a couple $1,000s worth of upgrades in it, you can go get that distribution license. Or, or like you, taking the business savvy, the networking, the knowing how to work with in the corporate office to sit here with us, but also I know cannabis, and I really know how cannabis can support the community because you lived it as a child, and putting that all together in kind of a new package that isn't necessarily regulated by a license.
No, man, 100%. Because, like, for me, it was I've said this before, right? The 3 Ps, right? One of them is patience.
Yeah.
And I think one thing Stanley and I have done a very good job of is showing patience in cannabis.
Yeah.
We're all over the place. We're constantly working, constantly doing something. But we're patient where let's see how this plays out. Like we were in a position where, okay, we're here, we're helping people, we're doing good, making a name for ourselves, we're connected with everyone we need to be connected with. Why go open a dispensary right now? Why go get a cultivation right now? We can.
Yeah.
We know the people to do it. We got the connections.
You got the
We
connections.
can get the funding. We can put that together, right? But it's almost like we still have a chance to do something so much bigger.
Yeah.
Right? We're still like we're all veterans in this, so we feel like we've been ripping and running forever, and we have, right? We have, but this industry is still so new. Where if you walk down the street right now and talk to 20 people about cannabis, you can get very different answers.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we're sticking with this because it's going to come a point where these stores are going to open, and what's going to happen? You're going to hire people. Where are you getting them from?
Yeah.
Yo, that's a wild hustle. Like, yo, the state just gave out 200 licenses. Yeah. They're going to have to hire mad people. Got you. I'm going to control the hiring.
That's such an early. That's an early play.
Control is such a strong
Yeah, but
word.
I'm going to make it real difficult for them not to use us when it comes to hiring.
I mean, if you want quality,
Control is such a, what it is we've created an ecosystem
Yeah.
for our people,
yes,
by our people,
train the workforce.
to train them on what you really need to know
Yep.
to work for a man like this, to work for a woman like this,
Yep.
and be successful and ultimately grow yourself and your career aspirations. We're building that, and we just need people behind us that understand the value of that.
But also
You know?
to flip to position it in a way where it's like, hey, all you MSOs that what you're supposed to be doing, you're going to have to come to us with this too. We still
Yeah.
giving quality, it's still a service.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get you more than your money's worth realistically. But at the same time, it's like the positioning of it ahead of time.
Well, because again, we're not willing to take the leftovers.
Yeah.
Like so,
You
everything
said no before.
I say no all the time. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that facetiously. I'm just being honest. Like, everything I said, I meant in terms of wanting to teach people. But I wanted to look a certain way.
Yeah.
Right. Stanley and I talked about this from the very beginning. Like, we're not going to do it unless we can do it the way we want to do it.
Right.
And I go back to my statement earlier. You spent $50 billion on the war on drugs. What is it worth to have a school,
Yep.
a 3-story, 4-story, 5-story school with an auditorium? We can do TED Talks. We can I'm giving too much game right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Don't let
you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like,
hold the IP.
Big IP.
you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen, bro. You know,
This is a panel of genius right here. We got to keep it low.
but not even because like we need everyone to do it. We need more than one person. We can't do it by ourselves.
This is
You know
true.
what I'm saying? We can't. I'm not even going to front like that. And there are other people doing good work. My point is, it's about whether it's the CRC, whether it's the EDA, whether it's these MSOs, there needs to be funding directly towards helping Black and brown people
Yes.
get in this industry.
Yes.
Period.
But your
Yeah.
reach is long, you know. Well, you done
Yeah.
business deals and different connections with people all over the country. Shout out to Jasmine down there in Florida.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, not for nothing. Sometimes they got to pay because if you have really a grasp on the culture that they want to have the access to, then the reality is that, they would pay these consultants, they would pay these other groups, and it's like then when it comes to us, it's like, oh,
It's a look now.
yeah, like no, cough up the bread
Well, 'cause-
too. I want to be rich too. Like,
Because you know what the difference is? Other folks build their businesses in their garage, they bust their ass, work hard, day in and day out, get nothing. And when they go to reap the benefit of selling it or promoting it, that benefit comes, right? For whatever reason with social equity, we're supposed to build this up, make it work, build a system that makes sense, that actually can be impactful, and then you're supposed to do it for free.
Yeah.
No.
People act like people that work at these funds or 501c3s don't get paychecks.
right.
Like, why are we pretending that they don't get paychecks?
Right.
They
Why
get-
are we pretending
they get
that
nice paychecks,
bro?
too.
Just our vetting system. These students go through a scoring process. They get interviewed. They get on webinars. That's time,
Yep.
energy, effort.
Yep.
Like we're not half-assing none of this. They get case studies, homework, labs, curriculum, projects. Like this is like what we're trying to build. Again, if it was being done in other places in the world by other people, funding wouldn't be a question.
Not a question.
But when it's us, you're supposed to take the leftovers.
Yep.
And now you're, I think the most recent cohort, you're doing that in Newark, right?
Yeah, we're in Newark at the Genova Burns building. Shout out to Genova Burns for sponsoring a program with giving us the building. But yeah, we're over at Genova Burns. We have a bud tending course, which is a bud tending 101 course. It's 8 weeks long. That's taught by Dr. Alan A.O. We have a horticulture course, which is 8 weeks long. That's taught by Anson McManus from Justice Cannabis. And then we have a entrepreneur course, which is 8 weeks long, taught by Francis Hardy from Hardy Media.
And shout out to the good people over there in Newark.
Yeah,
Yes.
and listen, shout out to Air Wellness, who just recently sponsored the bud tending horticulture class. We'll be going to their facility, taking the students down there, doing some learning activities and so on and so forth. So just thank you to Air, shout out to them.
Yes. Shout out to the educators. It's important.
100%.
It's important work. All right, so this is what I want to know. And let's be real here, because not everybody's going to get to the finish line. We know that.
Yeah, that's facts.
Not everybody is going to win, and some that win are not going to last more than 5 years. Not only is that just business in general, but this is even more intensified. For those who don't succeed in this space, what do you predict is going to be their downfall?
Not grasping reality early enough. One thing I'm huge on in the cannabis industry is, what's your exit plan? Because very few of us are going to open up a cannabis dispensary and do it for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
also, industries don't last.
industries don't last that long.
Right. There's a run.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say? So, like,
Yep, there's
whether
a
your
run.
exit plan is I want to get in here and sell it, whether your exit plan is I want to do this for 10 years and pass it to my kids, whatever it may be. But, like, when I ask that question, people look at me like I got two heads, right? Because when you think about people's downfall, it's just, again, you don't grasp reality. Number one, do you have the funding to open up your doors? Are you connected politically to the point where you have their support and the things you need in place to get that that piece of the equation done? Where are you at in the application process? Have you found real estate? Be honest with yourself, because you have to do those things just to start.
Yeah.
Okay, now you started. Do you have the connections at the different MSOs that we hate so much, right? The MSOs for the wholesale. Or are you going to find cultivators that aren't MSOs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Possibly,
but
Yeah.
that,
But it's gonna be tight.
That's
Yeah.
going to take some. That's
work.
going to take some
It's gonna
bop. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Not saying it can't be done, but So my
Yeah.
point is, okay, now you got to do that.
Yeah.
So again, it's about grasping reality.
Yeah.
Because if you're all by yourself, you're one person with 24 hours in a day. You're not building a team.
You got to build a team. Yeah, it's definitely necessary.
It starts there, guys. Like, I mean, I know some very talented people. It's hard to do it by yourself. It's the cannabis industry is too vast. It's too many layers. It's the unknown. There's no blueprint for this shit. Like, you're grinding on, I don't want to say hope because it's educated hope, but in some people's case, maybe you don't have that education.
That's
True.
a fact.
You know?
And talking about building a team, you know what I mean? Shout out to our team. Jalen, put your email here. That's Jalen, our producer. Holla at Jalen. He do all of our stuff. He nice.
Straight up,
Nice with
straight
it.
up.
Give him a shot. But also with that, you know, it's just so interesting. What, like you're saying, what's your exit plan? You know, like, shoot, this is one that my wife / and Alyza is like, yo, you need to make an entity. I'm like, what you mean? The money's just gonna go to my pocket? I'm gonna put it in my pocket. I'm gonna have money. And they're like, no, you got to send the money to entities, and you know, for tax reasons and this and this and that. And now I'm over here like, all right, I'm gonna have the money go to the entity. I'm gonna hold it in the entity, flip the entity into a trust, use the dividend that's in the entity to buy real estate, so that now my kids who will inherit the trust will have access to all this real estate.
And my thing is, that's the American fucking dream,
That's
right? Like,
it. That's
so
it.
there's nothing wrong with an exit plan.
Like,
You know what
and mine starts like, you know, it's not parallel, right?
It start with its
dividends come out on this side,
Yes.
buy real estate on this side.
Yes.
It's about seizing the moment and maximizing the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? We think about generational wealth. It's not just making it in cannabis.
Yeah.
It's getting the seed money to go make it in real estate.
Yeah,
Seed
do
money to
something
go invest in
else.
some stocks.
Yeah.
Seed money to start your salon. Seed money to get your construction company going.
Facts.
Seed money to get that trucking company you've been thinking about for the last 3 years. Like, you got to think bigger. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? We got to open our eyes.
Yeah.
And also, it's the doing the work. Like, you got laid off from banking, but I know you could have went back to banking, did a little bit.
Sure.
But then when you saw, you know, this don't actually match or what they thinking about doing and what I'm trying to do with it, they not with it. So we got to make a move again.
I mean, honestly, Corey, it's back to the opportunity, man. Where else can I go be myself, do what I love to do, which is help my people, and be successful, and create avenues to build generational wealth, build an industry, set new standards, be that blueprint. You know what I'm saying? Go in these offices and say, yeah, we're not taking that no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But let me give you a product where you realize that, yeah, okay, we can't do that no more. You know?
That's nice.
And
Good trouble.
Yeah. I mean,
Disruptors. It's necessary.
Nah, disruption is necessary.
It's necessary.
100%.
Gotta tear it all up.
You got to do it the right way, but
Of course, you got to do it the right way. And
we moving.
Let me just make one caveat, though, because I don't want my message to get misconstrued. When it comes to what we do from a social equity perspective, I don't care if you're black, white, brown, purple, green. It's about the cause. Are we here to help the plight of black and brown folks who have been disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs?
Yeah.
If you are, come with me.
Yep.
Yeah.
This notion of because you're white, you can't help, nah. Because there's some black folks who don't want to help.
That's
right.
Let's talk about that.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk about that. Right? Let's talk about that. I'll digress. Okay?
Oh, he's like getting spicy, but you know
But
what?
he ain't a liar.
Hold on.
Where's the lie? Okay.
Yo, and it's normally Corey getting me on my soapbox, and we're not in the discussion
I be
point.
putting that battery.
We're not in the
thing.
discussion point yet, but
Shit.
I just want to say I'm so tired of people acting like we don't need the white people too.